Alright everybody, this is Eternal Blade here and welcome to another modeling tutorial. Today I will teach you how to model a photorealistic interior chandelier such as this. You can pretty much use this in any scene, for a dining room, over a kitchen table, heck even in the middle of a living room if you so choose. We also go through the process of texturing as well as rendering this entire thing and lighting it. So I hope you guys have a great time, and without further ado, let's hop into the tutorial. So let's begin by first setting up our 3ds Max. So go to Customize, Unit Setup, and just go ahead and ensure that you're in metric with centimeters, as well as centimeters over here. Alright, so next what we want to do is just grab our reference images. So I'm going to be using this image right here. I should be able to post a link below in the video description, or if you want, you can just go ahead and take a print screen of this and pop it into your 3ds Max. So what I want to do here is go ahead and make a plane in my front view. Give it one length segment and one width segment, and from there what we need to do is go ahead and get the size right. So it's going to be, let's see, 616 by 640, which is the same dimensions as the reference image. So go to your material editor here by pressing M on the keyboard, get a viewer material, diffuse map, standard bitmap, and go ahead and migrate to your folder which has your reference image in it here. Double click on your image and just show shaded material in viewport, and go ahead and drag it over onto the image here. Alright, you can go ahead and press F3 in the front view here, and that'll give us a pretty good idea. Press G to get rid of the grid, and Alt W to maximize this. So now what we need to do is begin to model. So first let's right click, go to Object Properties, General, and you want to freeze this and uncheck Show Frozen in Gray. This will just prevent you from accidentally moving this, okay? So let's start with the top here. So let's just go ahead and create a cylinder, just like this. Alright, press E and press A to angle snap. And let's just go ahead and rotate it like so. Press W, and let's actually change this. Oops, don't want to get that. Change this to shaded here just so we have full visibility of what we're doing. And let's go ahead and move this just to about here, okay? So currently we have 5 height segments, we don't need that many, so let's just bring that down to 1. And let's go into our perspective here and press 3 on the keyboard, or 4 to go into polygon mode, and F4 so you can see your edge faces. We'll just bring this down a little bit, right to around here. Now using your bevel modifier, just go ahead and add sort of a little outward bevel here. Something like this ought to do the trick. Okay, and make sure you have a bevel on the top and the bottom, that way the turbo smooth interpolates it correctly. And go ahead here, and now we'll just come in and just kind of follow this curve right here that we've got going on. Alright. Maybe a little more in, and right to about here. So once we're here, you can see that it switches over and we kind of have this ball shape. So let's go ahead and try to make that. So first there's sort of a little piece here that kind of comes out. So we'll make that and then come in, okay, right around there. Let's go ahead, and I'm just following only one side of the ball here. Just to make it easier, I'm following the right-hand side. Okay, and it won't be perfect. I mean, you can use a sphere if you want, but honestly, no one's ever going to see this, so you're probably good to use whatever technique you want to use. And now let's go into the edge here and grab this edge, and then in our modeling tools here, if we go to Polygon Modeling, there should be a flow connect somewhere. Let's just expand this for a second and see if we can find flow connect. So right here, so just click that and it'll sort of even out your mesh there. Alright, next let's go ahead and make a tube, sort of right here in the middle. Alright, like that, and then give it just a little thickness there. Bring the height segments down to 1, so you kind of have this ring almost. Now go ahead and press R on the keyboard and just sort of stretch it out, just so it takes the same shape that we've sort of already got here. All right, now we can go ahead and turbo smooth that. That'll give you an immediately nice ring right there. All right, so let's go on to these little chain links here. Let's just go ahead and create a box approximately the same size as these in your front viewport here. All right, so the thickness is going to be about the same as the other chain, so let's convert that to an editable poly and go ahead and just drag these back a little bit. All right, something like that should do. Now grab the front and the back here and go ahead and inset them just a tad, just the same, just about the thickness the chain should be. Okay, and then go ahead and bridge the gap. All right, now on your edge mode, Control A and chamfer, and you can just give it a pretty thick chamfer here, just to give it some nice rounded edges. Now, back in your front view here, let's go ahead and grab the top and the bottom, and you want to do one connection on each. Then grab these and just sort of bring them up and bring them down. This will give you more of a chain look, and then go into your turbo smooth modifier, and 2 should be good, and then you have sort of a relatively nice chain there, and you can adjust these as you see fit. So for example, I'll probably want to grab these, loop them, and just drag them down a bit, and then grab these, loop, and drag them up a bit, right, just to sort of smooth out that transition there. Perfect. Now what you do is you just move them just like that and press OK, and then move them to the top just like that, and maybe give it 4 should be good for now. Okay, and actually it doesn't quite work that nicely. You have to delete those, use this one, shift drag it, and 4. Okay, now back into your perspective, you need to grab every other one starting from the bottom one. Right, with angle snap turned on by pressing A, just go ahead and rotate these 90 degrees. That'll give you that sort of nice chain look. And to give it a bit more realism, what I like to do is then individually rotate these just a little bit so they're all sort of different. Okay, so just don't really pay attention to what you're doing, just kind of do some rotations. That'll just provide a little bit of extra realism for your render there. Alright, now that we've got that, let's continue on with this little bit here. So I'm going to go to our polygon mode and grab this and just give it a slight bevel. Okay, and then basically give it an inset just like that. So now if we go ahead and turbo smooth this element, you're going to see we kind of have this nice thing right here, but we do need a bit of definition in this edge, so let's go ahead and turn the turbo smooth off and grab this edge here. Just go ahead and press ring and then connect, and we're going to give it 2 segments and just pinch them just so they're a little closer to the edge there. Alright, and that should really help increase the sort of defined edge there at the top. So that looks really nice. Alright, perfect. So next what we need to do is let's go ahead and just create this center pole right here. So in the front viewport, let's just make a cylinder. So something like that ought to do. Press E, make sure you have angle snap on and rotate it 90 degrees. All right, press W, and let's just go ahead and check. So we have no height segments, which is perfect. And just bring it up to right about here, okay? Go ahead and convert that to an editable poly. And then, let's see, using a combination of the front and the perspective view here, we're just going to do some beveling to give it the shape it needs. So I'm just going to change this to shaded. And let's go ahead and start beveling. So we first need to sort of go out a little bit right here. Maybe bring it up. Come back in. And let's see. that. Maybe come out. I'm just trying to follow the right-hand side of the image again, is all I'm doing. And it looks like it sort of comes out a little bit, so maybe bring it like that. And we'll just bring it up like such. Okay, perfect. Now this is going to have to go up a little bit because it's not too much of that isn't supposed to be sticking out. I'll go ahead here and grab this piece and just drag it all the way down. Alright, now don't worry about this piece. This is another arm on the back, so we'll just bring it to about here. Alright, that should do nicely. And let's just drag that down. Now the top and the bottom are, as you can see, almost identical. So we're going to reuse this by pressing Shift, grabbing it, press E and rotate it 180 degrees. And press W and let's just drag it right up there. Now it is a bit different, so we can go ahead here and just alter these slightly. So let's go ahead and grab these and drag it down a bit, and then grab these and drag them down. Let's go ahead and press R. Oops, not that. So press R and scale it up. Something like that ought to do. Alright, now we're just going to take these and sort of drag them here. Let's grab our edge here and use our flow connect again. And maybe one more right in here. And that should give us a pretty nice result when we turbo smooth it. So let's go back into our perspective. Alright, so that's looking really nice. So kind of a bigger on the bottom and smaller on the top. Excellent. So now I'm just going to make sure that that is centered in the X and this is centered in the X. So I just want to make sure that all these things are basically about where they should be. Well, we'll leave those, the chains, as they are. Alright, so back in your front view here, let's go ahead and grab this perspective F3, and we just can delete the bottom there and go ahead and delete the top. This will just prevent any turbo smoothing mistakes, and then go ahead and add your turbo smooth to it, and that'll smooth that right out for you. Excellent. So now let's go ahead and try to make one of these bars. So basically this one here is pretty close to flat, so we're going to use that as sort of a starting point. So let's go ahead and create a box, and we're going to create in the front viewport here, and it's going to be about that big. Alright, we're going to drag it over, okay? So we're sort of creating something like this. Now these are sort of flat, so we need to decrease that to something along these lines here. That should just about do it. Now go ahead and bring the length here way up. So go to your front viewport here, and let's just bring that length really, really, really high. Alright, we'll give this, I think, is that what we want? Sorry, let me just delete these. So we need probably about 30 of these. Should do nicely. Now let's go ahead and apply a bend modifier here. We're just going to bend this on the y-axis. We're going to bend it basically 180 degrees. Okay, I'll go ahead and press E and rotate that 90 degrees and press W, and let's just align it as best we can here. So maybe not quite 180. We'll just bring that back a little bit. Well, actually it probably should be 180. We just have to adjust it a little bit. Alright, so that looks pretty good there. Maybe make the box a bit thicker here in the height. Alright, that should work. Now apply an FFD 4x4. Let's go ahead and press 1 on the keyboard and grab sort of these top control points here and just drag it up. Alright, maybe drag these over just a little bit and drag these guys over a bit too. So kind of just like that. All right, apply an edit poly here. Let's go ahead and press 4 and grab this polygon. We're just going to extrude it straight out here. So in the front viewport, you can see what we're trying to achieve. So let's just go ahead and drag it to about the right length, somewhere around here. And that should do quite nicely for what we require. Alright, now let's go ahead and just grab all of our edges. So let's press loop here and see what we get. So not too much luck. So we'll just select all these outer edges here and loop those. That should work. Grab that one and that one. Make sure you grab all 4 of your ends here. Press Q just so you don't accidentally move anything while you're doing this. And grab these and grab this one. And then go ahead and apply a chamfer to it. Alright, this needs to be a pretty minimal chamfer, so maybe 0.5, 0.25 seems like it'll do pretty well. Alright, so there we go. That'll give us that nice sharp edge we're looking for. And now we should be able to apply a turbo smooth to this, and that'll smooth out any additional imperfections that we have. The end here needs a bit of help though, so let's just select this polygon here, and we're going to inset it just a little bit like that, and also press F3 and inset this bottom one just a tiny bit. Alright, perfect. That should resolve any problems. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Alright, so now let's go ahead and in the front viewport here, let's model this little segment here. So grab a cylinder and just kind of create it right here in the middle. Drag it up a little bit, press E and rotate it 90 degrees. Alright, and just go ahead and line it up. Alright, convert it to an editable poly, press 1, and let's just drag these up to the first row here. And now let's go to the polygon mode here, and let's click on the top face and go ahead and start beveling this to match our profile here. So we're just going to slowly bevel this until we get what we want. Alright. So we're going to do some kind of a two-step process. The first will be making the shapes, and the second will be refining everything. Oops. Okay. So it looks like this actually sort of goes up a little bit and then has another thing. Right, perfect. And then go ahead and inset the top there, just like that. And we can probably even just move that down, something similar to that. All right, so now let's maximize this view here and grab that. Let's do a ring connect, 2 connections, and just pinch it all the way out to the side. Now I think we can do multiple of these, so we'll see ring connect, and we can. Perfect. Let's do these last 2 here, or this one at least. Ring connect. Alright, and ring and connect. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and just press F3 and delete this bottom face here. Alright, press F3 again, and let's go ahead and apply a turbo smooth. So 2 iterations should give you a pretty clean mesh. So that's almost exactly what we're looking for, so can't complain about that. So in the front view here, let's just go ahead and, alright, we will actually go to our edit poly here, and maybe, no, we'll apply another, we'll just drag that down a little bit. Let's see. We can do something else here. So let's go to your shapes here, make a line, and go ahead right here in the center, click, hold shift to give you a straight line, and go over there. Now just slowly make your curve here. Okay, when you're up in the corner here, just take a little more time to sort of work on your shape. And let's see, we need to go over to here. All right, and double click and close your spline. So back into your perspective, go ahead and use the lathe modifier. All right, and for the axis, just drag it over here. Okay, so in your front viewport, just make sure they're sort of right in line. All right, so that's about perfect. All right, now let's go ahead and you can click Weld Core. Let's go ahead and convert that to an Edit Poly. And so press 3 on the keyboard here, just so we can see what we're doing. And then let's go ahead and grab these center polygons here. Alright, and go ahead and delete them. Now with the border selected, go ahead and actually let's delete these as well. Okay, just watch out you don't get any extras. And delete. Now what we need to do is apply a shell modifier. Alright, so basically that should, looks like we have an extra polygon in here somewhere. So it must just be a little tiny one. These are the ones that didn't delete, so press F3. Just sort of select the interior and delete. Those should go away nicely. So now with your shell modifier, you can just increase the segments here a little bit. And let's see, we don't want to bevel the edges. And let's go ahead and apply a turbo smooth on top of that with 2 segments. And that'll give you an overall a very nice looking shape. And maybe actually we want to go in the front view here, grab these top polygons that sort of go in and just delete them. Actually, we'll just delete that. Press 1 and we'll grab these and move them up a little bit. Grab these and move them up just a tiny bit as well. Alright, F3, perspective, and there we go. We have a nice little lamp shade thing. So now what we need to do is go into our, well actually let's line this up. So grab your arm and just go ahead and move it exactly to the middle here. So we're just going to get rid of those. Just like that. And it looks like our chandelier portions are already correctly placed. So now what we need to do is make the little arm that comes down. So go into your front view here and let's see what we want to do. Maybe we can grab this polygon and shift drag it up. Okay, let's just go to where the bend is, press E. We're going to rotate it a little bit. Alright, try to line it up. So it's going to be sort of this one. Alright, and let's just decrease the bend pretty drastically. Alright, something like that ought to do nicely. And your FF, yeah, that's fine. Let's just press 1 on the keyboard and align that. Okay, perfect. We do have some interesting geometry up here. So that's going to be the editable poly causing problems. So let's just go ahead and delete that. In your FFD, let's just go ahead and yes, hold it, press 1, and just move these over just till they're about straight. Okay? So that's not bad. Alright, next let's just go here, press R and straighten them out. And grab these, press R, straighten them out. And now let's just press 1 on the keyboard here and just bring that in a little bit. Grab this and just shove it all the way up to the top there. Now if we go to perspective and press F3, you're going to find out that we're missing a polygon right in there. So just go ahead and select the border. Let's go ahead and isolate this selection here just so we can see it. Alright, so select the border there and press cap. Right now if we turbo smooth it, we should be mostly good. Now let's go ahead and just delete. Let's just press grow once, unselect all that and delete. And then we can go ahead and weld, let's see. Looks like we are missing a line here. So let's press cut, and you want to cut from that little vertex up to that one over there, and do the same for this side. So just like that. And then with all your vertices selected here, press R and just trim them down like so. Right, there we go. Now we've got a nice bevel all the way down. And going back into our front view, let's end isolation mode. And what we need to do is go into perspective here, press R, and we need to scale this just so it's a bit skinnier. So go to Effect Pivot Only and Centered Object. And then when we scale, it'll scale from the center there, so we can just skinny it up to where it sort of fits within our mesh. So maybe a little less than that. Alright, that looks pretty good. And then make sure we clean up any of these edges here. You can see it actually protrudes through, so let's just go to our vertex here in editable poly mode and just bring it up, something like that. Alright. Perspective, F3, F4, so that's sort of the hard parts of the chandelier done. So let's go ahead and go to unfreeze all. We can delete our reference image now. Well, actually, let's just move it over to the side here. And what we need to do next is rotate this 5 times. Let's go ahead and actually grab this. Alright. So grab all this and go to Group and press OK. It's Effect Pivot Only, and we are going to align it to say this right here. And you want on X, Y, and Z, and press OK. Then press E to rotate, and of course it doesn't want to rotate on its pivot. Let's see here. How can we go about doing this easily? Effect Pivot Only. Oh, okay, there we go. So just turn off angle snap. We want to rotate this 72 degrees exactly, or at least really, really close. Alright, there. And give it 4 copies. And there we have it. We've now got basically a perfect little chandelier here. Let's go ahead and add a bit of additional realism here, because this light needs to have a way to actually run. So let's create a line here in the front view. And we're going to start it. You can turn off auto grid. We're just going to start it right here. And then let's just sort of weave in and out here. Alright, just kind of like we're going through these things, okay? Just like that. And let's go to rendering, enable a renderer, and in viewport. Back into your perspective here. And let's just increase the thickness of this a little bit. All right, something like that ought to do. All right, now just go in and adjust the points here to make sure that it actually wraps around nicely and doesn't interfere with any of the chains. All right, maybe it comes around. And this one can sort of go over here. And if you need to refine it, you can add a couple additional points. So that one looks pretty good. This one needs some help. All right, and then this will sort of go right into here. Okay. So now that we've got this, let's go ahead and go to our front viewport here. Grab this, and we're going to go ahead and make a copy. Press E and rotate it 180 degrees. Make sure you have angle snap on. Alright, and let's press W and just drag it into position just like that. Alright, so now let's grab this and just edit the vertice. So it kind of goes right through the middle there. Alright, excellent. So that'll be kind of like the wire that actually goes down. So let's actually grab this vertice right here. It looks kind of strange, so we're just gonna bring it down kind of here-ish. All right, and that should be nice right there. All right, excellent. So that is the conclusion of the modeling portion here. So it was actually kind of easy, which I'm glad of. So let's head off and figure out how to texture this beast. So actually, before we begin texturing, I did want to do a couple bits of cleanup here. So let's just go ahead and select all of our lights. All right, perspective. I think we have them all selected. We had actually made groups of all of these. So let's go ahead and ungroup everything. And now just select your lights. All right, because they're actually off the chandelier base. So go into your front viewport here, press W, and let's go ahead and just move these down just so they sit right inside here, okay? And then let's grab just the lampshades, and let's go ahead and do the same thing, just so they sit right inside there. Perfect. All right, that'll just eliminate any possible issues we have. And then this looks like it needs to come up a little as well. And you could put connecting pieces here, but I don't think you'd ever be able to see it from any angle, basically. So I think we'll be fine not having those. All right, however, up here we probably need to have some additional, well, not really. It's actually not bad. Okay, we'll say that's probably good. Well, all right, might as well fix it since we're here. So let's go ahead here, and we should have made these instances if we were smart, but I guess can't always be perfect. So maybe just make a box here and turn auto grid on. So kind of like that, and just give it 1, 1, and 1. For the top view, press F3 here. Press E, and let's just rotate this. Alright, turn off angle snap. Alright, and then let me go to perspective here and just see what we've got. So we need to go back a little bit, so go ahead and change this to local and just move it back some. Press R, change it to local as well, and just scale it in. Something like that ought to do fine. And maybe scale it in a bit that way and move it. Alright, that should be perfect. Now go ahead and convert that to an editable poly. Press F3, grab your top polygon and just drag it up. Then go ahead and delete it. And then grab all the bottom edges and minus all these sides. Alright, and chamfer. Just go ahead and give it a little chamfer of about 0.25 and press OK. So what that'll give you basically is this little piece right here, sort of like it was welded on. So grab that, effect pivot only, hit the align tool and align it to the center there, X, Y, and Z. Now press E and hold shift and let's just rotate this the same exact 72 degrees. I'm sure there's easier ways to do this, but there we go. If you let me know an easier way, please comment and let me know, because that can be pretty troublesome at times, that's for sure. Alright, this one needs to come over a little bit. And actually, let's just go ahead and effect pivot only, centered object. We can just align these manually. Alright, looks pretty good. Let's grab this one. And effect pivot only, centered object. And one of the other reasons for aligning them manually is also just to make sure that it doesn't look perfect. Because again, nothing in life is perfect. Even if a machine makes it, you always want to have a bit of subtle variation in there. Right, effect pivot only, centered object. Almost done here with this section. And there we go. Now we just have those kind of nice little extra details there, and they'll look a lot nicer. Alright, perfect. So, now that we have that, let's go ahead and start grouping some of these elements together. So let's first save our scene, seeing how we haven't done that yet. So let's just go up to our folder here and Chandelier. Okay. So let's see, how do we want to go about doing this? We go to edit poly here and just start attaching some of these pieces. Well, it's not quite what we want it to do. Let's undo that. We'll just, instead of attaching, we'll just group them. I don't like to have things attached if I can avoid it, because it does eventually cause you some problems down the line. Alright, so we need that, and then this. I'm just trying to get all the pieces that are the same color sort of attached, or grouped together, I should say. Alright, and that, let's see, and this center pole there. So go ahead, oh, and these. Alright, now go ahead and group, and we'll call this bronze. Okay, and then go ahead and grab these guys. And we'll group those and call them lamp shades. Alright, and there we go. We got all our stuff grouped. So let's go into our material editor here. And let's create a new material here, a V-Ray material. Actually, this is going to have to be a V-Ray two-sided material, and then we need a front and a back material, but it's going to be one and the same, so we'll just connect those right up, and we'll assign those to this group right here. So what we really need is just sort of a nice lamp shade color here, something like that ought to do real nice. Okay, and we'll just leave that as it is for a while. Now let's go ahead and try to make some oil rubbed bronze. So go here and let's give it a pretty dark brown diffuse. Alright, and we'll make the reflections, we'll give it some pretty good reflections here. Just show the reflections. And let's go ahead and blur them out, probably about 0.8. 0.7 will work, and maybe give it 16 subdivisions just to smooth out those reflections a bit. And maybe even a bit darker than this. We'll just desaturate that a bit. Okay, I'm just trying to look at the reference image here to try to match up the colors. And in our Fresnel reflections, maybe make this about 20, and then maybe dial this back a bit. Alright, that should do really well. Maybe 0.65 here. Alright, excellent. That should be a pretty good material. So let's go ahead and grab the rest of what we have and assign it to our selection. Alright, so we should have a pretty good thing here. So let's go ahead and delete this. Now we're just going to go to our lights, V-Ray lights, and add some dome lights. So go into your top view here, and you can have auto grid turned on for now, I guess, and just, sorry, not a dome light, we want a sphere light. And we'll just go ahead and create a little sphere right in here. So go in the front view and just drag it up to about here, and maybe give it a bit smaller radius, and then just holding shift, let's just drag this to the other ones and make these instances of each other. Alright, perfect, and one more. Excellent. Now go ahead and grab one and change it to luminous power, and maybe change this to about we'll start with 1500. That may be a bit high. Alright, excellent. So did we get this spline here? I don't think that spline was, that should be the oil rubbed bronze color as well. There we go. It's almost the same color, so I'm just going to go ahead and assign it that. So let's go ahead and create a V-Ray or a 3ds Max physical camera here. Alright, go into your camera and let's just drag this back a little bit. Oops, I don't want to create a second camera. Let's just drag this back and maybe do a bit of rotation here, something like this. And we actually missed some other oil rub bronze pieces, so we'll just grab those. Alright, so let's go to our V-Ray render settings here. And inside of here, we'll just go to HD, make this 480 by 270 for now. Enable global illumination within a radiance map and a light cache. Just change these to low and 200 for now. Alright, and swap this to adaptive subdivision. Let's go ahead and just do a test render and see what comes out. Alright, so right away we're getting some pretty good results here. Let's go ahead and add a few additional features in here just to sort of liven up our scene a bit. So we're just going to make a plane here, and let's just press W and drag it up to the top. Something like that should work. Alright, so I'm not going to lie, I just paused this video for about 20 minutes and had a massive pile of wings from Wingstop, and they were delicious. Just thought I'd let you all know, because wow, they were really good. But carrying on with our render here, let's convert this to an editable poly. Grab these two edges here and just shift drag them down like that. And let's grab this edge and shift drag it over here. Alright, just to sort of make a, I don't know, the base of a room or something like that. So let's go ahead and grab this polygon here and detach it. Press OK. Let's go to our material editor here and just assign a default gray material to the bottom there. And we will grab another material here and assign it to the wall. And we'll make this one sort of a very light brown. I'm just trying to actually match the reference picture just to see what we can get. So kind of a light, creamy, sort of desaturated brown like that. We'll give it a bit of reflection here. Maybe 0.65 should do pretty well. Alright, so let's go back into our camera here. Let's also select this editable poly. Select all the edges. That's odd. Ah, we're locked. Sorry, press spacebar. Control A, chamfer. And just give these things about a 2 centimeter chamfer. And give it a couple segments there. Alright, perfect. So, let's go ahead and render this out and see what we get. Alright, so not looking bad. Let's also add an additional light here. So go back into perspective. And let's add a V-Ray light. Just sort of, you can put it right about here. And what ooh, that's odd. We need to do a V-Ray light, except a V-Ray plane light. And we'll put it right here. Wow, why is it doing that? That's kind of weird, but okay. We'll just press Alt-W here. Go into the front view and create our light, since the other view is being sort of strange. Press W and let's just go ahead and drag it back. Alright, something like that ought to do. Maybe angle it a bit upward. Go ahead and make its luminous power. It looks pretty good to me. And for our lights, let's just press Shift G to hide the geometry. Let's go ahead and change this to temperature and maybe bring this to 4500 to give you kind of a pale appearance there. Let's go ahead and re-render and see what we get. Okay, so much better here. I could add a V-Ray sun, but that may mess up things. I guess we can try. Okay, so let's re-render and see if our whole image is white, which it typically is with the V-Ray sun. So maybe we'll just delete the V-Ray sun, rendering environment, and get rid of that. You can use a V-Ray photographic exposure modifier, but it's too much effort, I think. So we'll just go here and maybe change this to 3500. Alright, let's just go ahead and up our render settings a bit. So if we pull up our render window here, let's change this to high and this to 1000. Alright, and then go into your camera here and change the, looks like we're selecting the target as well. Change the, looks like we zoomed in there or something. There we go. Change the exposure here to about, maybe we'll try 5. And let's re-render this and see how it goes. Alright, so you can see we're getting a lot of noise in this image. So let's select one of our lights in here and change the subdivision here to try 32. Let's just render a portion of it and see if that has any big effect on increasing the quality of the lighting here. It just seems really, really, you know, grainy, and I want to see if perhaps that is the issue. So I went ahead here and just made the render a little bit bigger to see if I could resolve our problem, but I still haven't. So we're actually gonna do some other changes here. I think it may have to do with the amount of lighting in our scene. We just don't have enough. So we're actually going to use the V-Ray sun and sky, and that will sort of cause some issues. So let's go to the environment here, change this to V-Ray exposure control, and then in the rendering over here, let's go to V-Ray. Watch out we don't change that. Go to color mapping, and we'll just change this to linear multiply. And we'll go ahead and didn't mean to close that window there. Let's go ahead and change the GI back to low and 200 and change this to a smaller size, and let's just re-render this and see if we have any different results. And immediately you can see we have way different results. Significantly better, I guess, if that's sort of what we're looking for. So let's go back to our materials here real quick by pressing M on the keyboard. I think I have to restart my machine. It's being pretty slow right about now. For our two-sided material, let's change this to maybe 80% and see what that does for these. Okay, so in our exposure control here, let's go ahead and change the white balance first to neutral. And maybe change the shutter speed to something along the lines of, we'll try 100 first and see what that gives us. So no, we need to go the other way, so let's actually change this to 200 and the F number to about 12. This should hopefully give us a darker image. Yes, it does. Okay. Now select your lights sort of in here and go ahead and just change the, go to default here. Maybe change this to about 15. Alright, and let's go ahead and re-render. Alright, so still nothing. That's the problem, you have to sort of play around with the values here. Let's just try 500, that'll be a pretty large number. So you can begin to see our lights kind of shining through there. Let's just try 750 and re-render. And there we go, that's about what I would expect. So let's go ahead and re-render this whole image again. Alright, so there we have it, that looks looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and swap over to our final render settings here. Let's go to V-Ray, and we can make this, let's just render out a section of this and see how it does. Alright, and there we have it. Here's our final image. So you can pretty much just drag and drop this into any scene, and as long as you play with the lighting inside of the little bulbs here, you should have a perfect chandelier. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. Please like and subscribe to my channel, it really helps me out. As well as check out some of my other videos on the interior architectural props. I have blinds, doorways, and a whole host of other things. Also, be on the lookout for some other texturing tutorials I have coming down the pipeline. So check out my Facebook page for some updates on that. And as always, I will see you next time, and happy